Now come to the process of blastulation. So the morula which here convert into 100 about 100 celled or 64 to 100 celled embryo. This is the 64 to 100 celled embryo which floats inside the uterus about 3 days, and in these 3 days number of changes will happen. What actually occurs? And this structure which convert into the blastula or which is known as the blastocyst, and the process is known as the blastulation. Blastulation. Process of blastulation. So what happened first? Now this is the structure of morula, and here about 64 to 100 numbers of blastomeres are present. These blastomeres, they start to arrange two layers. They start to arrange in two layers. The outer flattened blastomeres are present. So it start to arrange in two layers. The outer blastomeres are present, and these cells, these are known as the trophoectoderm. So the outer layer which is known as the trophoectoderm, this is known as trophoectoderm. Tropho means feeding, ecto means outer, derm means layer. And inner to the trophoectoderm, some of the blastomeres present inside this structure, and these inner mass of blastomere which is known as the embryoblast. This is known as embryoblast. Embryo means embryo and blast means production. So these inner mass of cells, these are known as inner mass of cells. So these are known as the inner mass of cells or the embryoblast. So at the time of blastulation, first the zona pellucida, this is the zona pellucida, there is the disintegration of zona pellucida, there is no zona pellucida. Then the internal blastomeres which exposed to outside. Now this structure, suppose that this is this structure, suppose that this is this structure, and this is the inner mass of cell. What happened next? Next is the production or the formation of space inside this structure which is known as the blastocyst. This structure is known as blastocyst. So within 3 days, what happened here? The morula, the blastomeres of morula, they arranged into two layers. The outer is known as the trophoectoderm, which forms the protective layer and which provide the protection to the developing embryo, and the inner mass of cells, otherwise known as the embryoblast, which forms the actual embryo, and the blastocyst will appear at the center of the structure, and this is known as the blastocyst, and the whole structure which is known as the blastocyst or blastula. This structure is known as blastocyst. Blastocyst or blastula. This is known as the blastula. Now this blastula start to settle on the wall of endometrium. This is the wall of endometrium of uterus. So this is the uterus, and this is the endometrial wall. Suppose that this is the endometrial layer. Inner mass of cell touch the cells of the trophoectoderm layer. These cells are known as the cells rubber. So these cells are known as the cells rubber. Suppose that this portion of the cells are known as cells rubber. R-A-U-B-E-R. These are known as the cells rubber. The inner mass of cells attach the some cells or some portion of the trophoectoderm layer, and such region which attached or which come in contact with the endometrial region first, this is known as the cells of rubber. So this is the actual process of the blastulation, the formation or the conversion of morula into blastula. This is known as the blastulation. Now come to the different type of blastula. On the basis of presence of blastocysts, or on the basis of different criteria, there are several types of blastocyst or blastula. The first one may be the stereoblastula. Stereoblastula. What is the meaning of stereoblastula? Without blastocyst, the blastula is known as the stereoblastula. Such type of stereoblastula found in case of sponges. And nereis. Second may be the Cylloblastula. The blastula with blastocyst is known as Cylloblastula, and such type of blastula found in case of isoleucithal and mesoleucithal egg. Another may be the one type of blastula which is known as the discoblastula. Because of the discoid cleavage, the discoblastula is formed in case of fishes or the macroleucithal egg. There is the discoidal type of cleavage, and as a result which forms the discoblastula. Another type of blastula may be the superficial blastula. Because of the superficial cleavage found in case of insects, the superficial blastula is formed. So this is the different types of blastula, and this is the process of blastulation found in case of human. The human blastula, which is known as the blastocyst, which has three regions. One is the trophoectoderm. This is the outer blastomeres, which will develop the extra embryonic membrane and which provide the protection to the developing embryo, and the inner mass of blastomere, which actually developed into the actual embryo and the exact embryo, and this inner cell mass of cell is known as the embryoblast, and there is the space which is known as the blastocyst, which is filled with body fluid. So this is the formation of blastocyst. Now this blastocyst which attach the uterus, and this process is known as the implantation. In my next video, I will discuss about how this blastocyst or blastula attach to the wall of uterus.